I shall be using lingua franca, as they say. The language we use, we have our own vernacular languages, but we are put in a situation where we have to use a language which is not our mother language for us to do business and understand each other. So I shall be using the English language as the lingua franca, as they say. But we do that just looking for the content. That is what is important, the passing on of messages. So welcome to this press conference. This press conference is being held by the National Democratic Working Group, NDWG, headed by Honorable Advocate Job Sikhala. And because of the turbulent waters in which we have been thrust by the current ZANU PF regime, we have had to call for this press conference. You are welcome, and I will be joined by the person who was supposed to make opening remarks, Darlington Chigwena, who is our information chief or spokesperson. You know, the economic hardships that have besieged our nation. So connecting and doing business is a bit difficult. I'll also be joined by the SG, Gerald Tavengwa, of the National Democratic Working Group, among the leaders who are supposed to come. So allow me to be the leading team player. I'm putting on the shoes of the NDWG acting chairman and the head of our political affairs department. So I am putting on two heads today. A part of a head, which is facilitative role, which is the title of our leader as chairman and facilitator. So the facilitative role remains with the chairman as I deliver the official statement of the movement here. Our movement is a consultative movement consulting Zimbabweans on the way forward. We are having a very serious governance crisis. And that governance crisis has triggered other crises in our land. Right now we have, I listened to news last night, the heads of state in the SADC region desperately trying to raise $5.5 billion to feed us, to feed their nations. It's not entirely a climatic phenomenon that we are in this deep trouble. We now have the knowledge which could have reduced the impact of the current disaster which is facing us. We have technology in agriculture, in all other disciplines, if our nations were being democratically governed. But because of the suppression of the thought process of our citizens in the region, and particularly in this country, we have had governments that have thrust us into this disaster. Well, with these few opening remarks, let me go into my delivery. You are on assignment, and we must free you to work on your stories for the delivery today. As members of the Forces State, please take notice that we are having a new style of managing our information dissemination as National Democratic Working Group. We don't want to delay you as professionals. And through professionalism, we are going to really reconstruct our nation in terms of governance systems. Allow me, therefore, ladies and gentlemen, to delve into the official statement, which is the theme of this press conference. The title, Threats Against Honorable Advocate Job Sikhala. In the light of an unjustified onslaught and calls by ZANU PF functionaries, among them Nick Mangwana, Energy Mutodi, Sengezo Chawangu, Owen Muda Ngube, and the ZANU PF Varakashi destroyers, including ZANU PF Youth League Midlands Province, who have just joined this team of players who are calling for the arrest and further persecution of the National Democratic Working Group Chairman and Facilitator Honorable Advocate Job Sikhala, following his address at the UN 16th Human Rights and Democracy Summit held in Geneva, Switzerland on 15 May 2024. It has become imperative for our NDWG consultative movement to set the record straight on this matter. The National Democratic Working Group stands in solidarity with the statement made by Honorable Advocate Job Scola at the United Nations Human Rights and Democracy Summit held in Geneva, Switzerland on 15 May 2024, just about 5 days ago. The National Democratic Working Group is proud to be associated with a leader who is consistent, brave, and undeterred in his resolve to see a just and prosperous Zimbabwe. The statement made by Honorable Advocate Sikhala in the brief 13 minutes of his presentation was precise in its articulation of the human rights and democracy miscarriages in Zimbabwe. We are therefore not alarmed, moved, or fazed by the ZANU PF regime members' attacks on our chairman and facilitator for telling the world about the experiences during his latest political imprisonment. We are here to set the record straight and therefore would like to bring attention to the following issues as reminders of the importance of Advocate Sikhala's speech at the UN 16th Human Rights and Democracy Summit. Human rights violations, including abductions, are an everyday, ever-present threat and reality of people in politics and civil society in Zimbabwe. The systematic intimidation can now be evidenced from the reaction of the ZANU PF government officials with the threats of arrests and open hate speech following Honorable Advocate Job Sikhala's presentation on the Human Rights and Democracy Summit, testifies to the absence of a genuinely plural, competitive democracy anchored on the free speech in Zimbabwe. By the same threats, the ZANU PF regime intends to send fear into the entire National Democratic Working Group leadership and its grassroots consultative structures. However, we are fearless. From the days of the bombing of the Daily News in Harare, the abduction of Justina Mkoko, who eventually won her abduction case in the courts, the murder of More Memories Chawira, who was shot at close range at the University of Zimbabwe in 1997 during a peaceful demonstration by students, and the murder of Batanai Azizi in a similar peaceful student demonstration, all speak of a heavy-handed dictatorship that is predisposed to force and abductions, is what Honorable Advocate Job Scola was reaffirming at the Geneva Summit. There was a reaffirmation. More Blessing Ali was chopped into pieces and stashed into an open well by a ZANU PF thug, Pius Jamba. The still unknown whereabouts and the fate of Itai Dzamara resonates with a culture of abductions, as is the abduction of Tafadzwa Ngadziwore and murder of a cleric, Tafumane Masaya, in Mavuku Tafara constituency, in a by-election which saw the seat ceded to ZANU PF in mysterious circumstances. The interference of the Central Intelligence Organization, CIO, in Zimbabwe's 23 August 2023 bogus general elections through shadowy organizations such as Forever Associates Zimbabwe, FAZ, only demonstrates how the ZANU PF regime's so-called democracy is a complete farce. The takeover of power through military in 2017 to protect ZANU PF also reveals the extent to which security institutions are involved in perpetuating ZANU PF hegemony at the expense of an express civilian mandate which should be given in free, fair, and credible democratic elections by all Zimbabwean voters, including those in the diaspora. It is therefore our position that Honorable Advocate Job Sikhala correctly captured and agonized over the realities of Zimbabwe's truthful human rights and political situation. The National Democratic Working Group, NDWG, defends, I repeat for the removal of any doubt, defends Honorable Advocate Job Sikhala's right to speak freely, both in and outside Zimbabwe, in furthering the interests of justice, human rights, and democracy. It's a worldwide phenomenon, so it doesn't have to be a phenomenon within the limitation of Zimbabwean borders or boundaries. We believe in a transparent and open society where people should challenge the government openly and bring it to respect the rights of its citizens. The 595 days pre-trial incarceration was a violation of Honorable Advocate Job Sikhala's bail rights. We believe that the length of time Honorable Advocate Job Sikhala was imprisoned without trial was politically motivated. He was deliberately punished for standing up to the ZANU PF regime's violation of human rights in Zimbabwe. In a country that has no respect for human rights, that does things that are extrajudicial, whose courts and overall justice system is captured, all of the things narrated by Honorable Advocate Job Sikhala happened during his political detention were not an exaggeration. Our worry, as indeed is for many Zimbabweans, is how other less prominent prisoners are treated in the appalling prison conditions. The ZANU PF government has enacted a raft of laws, including the Patriotic Act, whose sole purpose is to limit democratic space, freedom, and thereby entrench a totalitarian system of governance in which people are subjected to all kinds of political, social, and economic abuses. We refuse to be coerced and bullied into silence through the usual historic Rhodesian tactics and use of repressive laws. We are all Zimbabweans. This is our country together. We will not be swept under or pushed outside our nation by a club of greedy, self-centered ZANU PF individuals. We have just received disturbing media reports that the ZANU PF regime agents have gone to the extent of creating a fake X account in the name of our chairman and facilitator to justify his arrest. Yesterday, the bogus account called for action on 25 May 2024, attributing it to Honorable Advocate Job Sikhala, which is wholly mischievous, nonsensical, and absolute hogwash. The fictitious X account is being run with a sinister agenda, and we call upon all good Zimbabweans to report the bogus account to the X management for its erasure. And a lot of Zimbabweans have done that already. They are doing it already. We are not going to allow the ZANU PF government to abuse national institutions and international systems like the X facility, which should be used to communicate between people's nations for development of nations and their citizens. It's being used now to sabotage the activities of civic movements like the National Democratic Working Group. The National Democratic Working Group is calling upon all Zimbabweans to assert their rights as citizens and refuse to be manipulated or intimidated into silence. Lastly, Zimbabwe will be free, and the people shall govern peacefully and democratically. That's the end of the official statement. Thank you very much. Now I can see the chair of this press briefing is here with us, our information chief, Darlington Chigwena. I surrender to you to take over in opening the floor for questions. Then we can respond. I also noticed the presence of our SG, Gerald Talengwa, and the Secretary for Women Affairs, that's Muriel, yes. So, to you.
Thank you so much all for attending this important event. As you have heard, I am Darlington Chigwena, the head of Communications and Information Department. So, as you have heard from Dr. Zembe, our political affairs head of department, he articulated very well, and I'm very cognizant that he has managed to make it clear pertaining our stance as the people's movement. At this particular juncture, I leave this floor to you all to ask you some questions pertaining what he presented to you. Okay, fine. Yes.
Something else that matters is that doesn't give this My first question is that what outcomes from this matter? Because this is my argument. I'm a political researcher. ZANU PF is a traditional bloc, no one doesn't know. But what is the real thing that what is doing in that? That is the first question. And then my other question is that what is right? Because I'm working on a paper which is and I've realized that ZANU PF, NGOs, and the opposition have one thing in common. They think money has think there we should be very careful. Otherwise, we start to blame Mandela politics. Which is easy. Thank you, sir.
Yes, more questions?
Yeah, Chief. So if I may ask, you just say that Zimbabwe will be free. So if I may ask, when will it be free? How will it be free? Because we have some political leaders who want to utter the side statement, but they, right now they voted out of their party and their party.
Yes. Sorry, it's wrong. A number of questions.
I'll start with the first question, which is to do with the ideology of the party. An ideology is not simply something that you write down. It's a culture that you want to develop for the country. It's a culture that has to be inherited beyond the generation that ascribes it. So the ideology of any country must be to give its citizens dignity, respect, equality, law and order, productivity. So when you address those things, you are now dealing with the fundamentals of how you create a society that functions. So any ideology that must be spoken about must be an ideology that embraces how the people are going to live, how they are going to work, how they are going to interact with their health delivery system, what their infrastructure is going to be like. Everything about us is part of an ideology that we must create as a people. So when we come to you as National Democratic Movement, what we are saying is we need to go to the grassroots, get everyone on board. Because if we look at where we are right now, maybe 5% or 2% of the people who are Zimbabweans are benefiting from our minerals, our diamonds, our gold, our oil resources. Whatever it is, none of us here may be benefiting from them. So a proper ideology must address how people live together, work together. And the reason why we are here is because we do not have that ideology that brings everyone on board. The ideology that we have is that if somebody gets something, it's for him and his children. So that is the ideology that we must run away from as a people. That would be the first, my first response to that question. And then you also asked about results. Results will always come from a concerted action by all people working together towards an ideological framework which they all believe in. So we as a people, we believe in justice. No one here wants to be treated unjustly. No one here wants his children to starve. No one here wants to be unemployed. No one here wants to be a beggar. That also resonates with the wishes of every other Zimbabwean who is in this country and outside this country. So the result of what we are doing will be measured against how the people in Zimbabwe live. It's pathetic for our people to be running into South Africa. Because in South Africa, you find human beings like us, with 5 senses, 2 eyes, two nostrils, ears. They are not super creatures. So what we really need in this Zimbabwe is to come back to our senses, find a common path which will deliver a country that is justiciable, a country that is equanimous, a country that provides the things that a human being needs to survive. So I think I would have dealt with that part.
Yes, let me also, with your concurrence, attend to questions number 2 and number 3. Zimbabwe will be free. The question was how. It is through the people's mass struggles. This is not a new phenomenon for us. Once upon a time, we had racial regimes occupying our space. They came in, we welcomed them because of African hospitality, and then they mistook our hospitality to be docility, and then they crafted laws and formed dictatorial military regimes in Rhodesia, and our nation rose. Firstly, it was a question of the direct concept. Let's talk to our adversaries so that we come to some sense. We don't have to destroy human life. So our forefathers said, talked, but the racist regimes did not listen until decisions were made to confront them by this nation, elders, forefathers of this nation. And from that time to this day, our nation is embarked on a long struggle to discover democratic rule based on freeness. Kadare aparambidzwe munhu kutaura mbuya washa tezvara muzukuru mukwasha. They speak the truth in their mind so that we get the best solutions. This is why the struggle had even to take from 1963 a military angle, and the nation, the whole nation fought. It was not a privileged group that fought. Our nation fought in very many ways. They struggled in very many ways. The struggle continues, therefore. The destination is yet to be reached, and we are adding to the spearhead of the revolution of the struggle for democracy, the struggle for economic opportunities, the struggle for civility, the struggle for housing, the struggle for jobs, the struggle to live dignified, enjoyable lives. And this is why we are saying that the struggle is intensifying, the democratic and electoral struggle. Ladies and gentlemen, you witnessed what happened last year, the fiasco, the farce, which the ZANU PF government called an election. There's no election like that. We have more than 5 million citizens of this country whose right was usurped, the right to vote. The citizens, the diaspora, are supporting our nation here, our government here, because they are sending foreign currency into this land. But yet, they were not partakers in an election. And up to this day, they are banned. Only yesterday, the day before yesterday, South Africans in this country were voting in an election that will be held a few days to come, 29th of May, 2024. So really, freedom, freeness, democracy, democratic elections, democratic constitutional and electoral rules derived from the people of this country. Self-rule is only achieved when the citizens craft the supreme law of the land, which is called generally a constitution. Currently, we don't have a constitution from the people. This is why this nation is having a lot of problems. So, yes, the people shall govern, my brother. Let me go to the third question. Does Honorable Advocate Job Scola have an X account. Surely these are personal issues, and he will be able to answer you convincingly on that. But one thing is for certain, that he has rejected the bogus X account, which is bent on inciting and impersonating his character and personality. Now, in the first question, reference was made to Advocate Scola's name. Look, if you don't recognize the importance of an individual citizen who is a source of wisdom, a source of vision, like you yourself, then it means you are having a deep psychological contradiction in your mind. You want to respect yourself, you don't want to respect others and their rights. You have not seen the persecution of Advocate Scola for 595 days, from 14 June 2022 to 30 January 2024. You have not witnessed that. You think it was a joke? No, it wasn't. So, my brother, let us respect personal individual rights, and let us respect each other. That is the only way we can live as free human beings. So yes, true, Advocate Scola is a leader. He has been serving this nation for a long, long time. He's not a new person, he's not a new player, but let me tell you, this world has become a village thanks to the ICT gadgets. It has become a village. So he is present with us here. I wish if we had a connection, a link, he could now be answering to you, to your question convincingly. That is my answer to the third question. We can take another round. Sorry? Kutauraji? Ani? Okay, Job Scola is outside the borders of this country. He's receiving medical attention, among other things. It's not yet known because they are still working on his health issues. But be rest assured, he's here. I mean, I've told you that your industry has made life pleasurable by connecting us, regardless of terrestrial spaces, isn't it? So, that's why we are. You have a direct link with him. Ask him. He will tell you. He will tell you. Yes, you have a direct link, don't you? Yes. Okay. Issue of a manifesto. We are a civic consultative movement. That is our constitution. Already is there. To consult the citizens of Zimbabwe on the way forward, because we have a serious governance crisis. We have serious problems. And therefore, we provide leadership by consulting Zimbabweans first of their ideas, of their sufferings, of the potential solutions. So we've just established our structures. We are a national structure. The provincial structure have been established. We are now working on the district structures, which take the boundaries of the electoral constituencies, 210 of them. Then we will have ward-based national democratic working group structures. When our structure is there, then the people of this country can be reached and can be consulted from grassroots structures right through, including those in the diaspora. So that is already our constitutional mandate, if you want. We are not a political organization or a political party. We are not. We're a civic movement. and Advocate Scola is our chairperson and facilitator to consult citizens of this country. Just before, the end process is we are building up to a National People's Convention where we will debate issues from citizens and fundamental decisions or resolutions will be made on the routes to take, the political route, economic route, education route, housing route, agricultural route, and all those financial routes. You see whether the Ziggy concept you can stand. It didn't derive from the people. It doesn't belong to any people's economy. So it's just an imposition which is a complete abstract phenomenon. Yes, sorry. Nhasi tadaidzira musangano uyu navatori venhau kuti tibudise pachena kutyisidzirwa kwaitwa mukuru wedu Honorable Advocate Job Sikhala vari kuzhe kwenyika izvozvi kwavari kutsvaga kubatsirwa nana chiremba pamuviri wavo sezvamunoziva kuti vakapinda mumangwangwangwa vakasvinyangwa somusuwa wesadza zvisingabetseri zvisingabviri. Saka tiri kuona izvozvi kuti pane manyepo ari kukushwa nenhengo dzeZANU PF political party uyezve nehurumende yavo. Tose takazviona a cabinet minister Owen Muda Mwiwe weku-Midlands achifunda chibhakera chake achiti pasi naJob Scola. In this lingua franca, it means death to Job Scola. And we were all shocked. He took sworn oath of office when he was appointed. Wakatora mhiko paakadoma kuita gurukota rokuti Mwari vamubetsere kuti aite basa somutungamiri worudzi rwavanhu vomuZimbabwe vose. Asi unotaura mashoko akadaro ekuti rufu kuna Job Scola ari pamhene achitaura pamhene nyika ine murawo. Takaonazve nguva yapera iyoyo vaAdvocate Nelson Chamisa vachinzi pasi navo, death to Advocate Nelson Chamisa by some bishop in anga ari kumberengwa here kana kuti chikuyakuya. Asi hatina kuona zvakaitika. Asi chionai nhasi uno vaScola vabuda vaenda kundopa mashoko kuboka renyika dzapasi rino remubatanidzwa reUnited Nations. Mune 193 countries United Nations. Isu yedu nyika inhengo yeUnited Nations kuti rudzi rwenyika ine rubetserekane nokuva nhengo iyoyo. Yezvo boka iroro roita musangano wekodzero dzavanhu noutongi hwejekerere rokoka vaJob Scola somutauri. VaJob Scola vobvuma vondotaura musi wa15 May 2024, mazuva mashanu achangopfuura. Asi tinoona veZANU PF izvozvi vari kuita nhange mutange yokuti Job Scola wakasvibisa nyika ngaasungwe. Vari kuti nemutemo wavo wavakaita unonzi Patriotic Act usati wambobva usina kubva kuvanhu, usati watombozikana kuti chii, vari kutsvaga kuda kusunga vaJob Scola kuvadzosera muturongo mavakagara kwemakore 2 vachinonerwa manyepo. Kuti zvose takazviona iko zvino zvazviri kuti hapana nyaya yavakapara, iko zvino hapana nyaya yavakapara. Asi vanhu veZANU PF party, Nick Mangwana munyori woku information nemashoko nekufamba kwamahwi achitotauravo izvozvo. Energy Mutodi mukuru wechikwata chemuparamende iripo iyi chemutemo achitotaurawo futi izvozvo tikaona sengezo chavangu achitotaurawo izvozvo tikaona iye mudhanyi wendataura ncuve uyu tikaona varakashi destroyers vanonyora mumax vachiti Job Sikhala wakaita mhosva chinonzi Zimbabwe chii vanhu ivava mukavabvunza imiwo kupuresi vabvunzei chinonzi Zimbabwe chii Sikhala haasi citizen weZimbabwe nesu tose tiri panapa zvino zvavari kutaura toda kumusunga kuti wakataura manyepo zvose zvakataurwa navasikhala tinazvo pano tingakubudisirai tikatotanga imwe musangano wevatori venhau hakuna kana chimwe vasikhala vakatotaura kuti nyika dzese dzomudunhu rokusha mhembe kweAfrica dzine zhara zvinosanganisira nyika yavo yeZimbabwe vakatopema pasi rose mumashoko avakaisa kuti Zimbabwe ipuwe rubetsero rwokuraramisa vanhu asi nhasi tinonzwa ivo vezANU PF ava vari kutopwanya upenyu vachibuda vachiti Sikhala vakatadzira nyika iye akatotaura kuti Zimbabwe ibudirire zvose zviri kuitiwa saka ndati ndidzamise ipapo vangazeza mutsindo webete tozvinombole kutaurwa navamwe kuti mutsindo webete ungazezwa here ungati zamusha here nokuti pasvika rovambira pamusha rinotsvakirwa mazano rovambira racho nokuti haringapwanyika vanhu vangomomoti zamusha nokuti kwanzi chinyoka chasenerera podo vasikhala vakasununguka kufamba muno muZimbabwe havana mhosva yavakaita havana vavatadzira vakasununguka kufamba pasi rose ndosaka vatipa mashoko kavo kuti mutaure kuti handizezi mutsindo webete nokuti mukaona 8 February vakapa shoko kuvanhu veZimbabwe muono wavo vapa shoko that's why he is a facilitator weNational Democratic Working Group wokuti ngatindei kuvanhu tinobvunza vanhu vatungamiri navanhu zvahakanurana kwamakore 40 ose aya atagara saka ngatidzokerei kuvanhu tinonzwa shoko ravanhu vanhu vatipe muono vagotipa zano rokubuda mumatambudziko anesu nhasi okutambura kurarama maisa mavara mumukanwa mangu changamiri mukatora zvose zvandataura handina kumboti vasikhala havana X account handina kudaro ndati vabvunzei kune dzimwe chaidzo kune dzimwe dzenhema dzati semi munogona kutovhurirwa yenhema yoita seyenyu iye isiri yenyu kuti mugosvibiswa mugonyeperwa saka ndataura kuti personal issues iwaya indai kuna vaJob Sikhala vachakudavirai kuti zvakamira sei ndozvandakutaurirai asi iyi iripo yadari yati vakadana kuti 2025 kuzonzi kudemonstrate manyepo tazvitaura isusu mumashoko edu aya zvichibva kwavari nemamwe mashoko abva kwavari anotoripo akawanda okutaura kuti manyepo anonhuhwa.
All right, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for your attention and your patience. I hope for today we are done. Thank you so much.
Thank you for declaring